Hello there, good evening, and thank you so much for finding time tuning to the Hardball. And of course, this is the Hardball coming to you on DSTV channel 277, GoTV channel 23, and on top side we are channel 89. We're also live on Facebook at Crown TV Zambia, and it being the 5th of April 2026 tonight, we do have a very interesting guest in the studio. That's Dr. Fred Membe, President as well as Socialist Party and People's Party leader, rather. And of course, my name is Alfred Chimba. I am your host this evening. Now, let's unpack the program like this. And understanding that we are exactly about 130 days away from the August 30th general elections. The roadmap is set. The voters register is being certified and the political temperature is at a boiling point. While the new Dawn administration boasts world-beating quarter and an inflation rate that dipped to 7.1% just last month in March, the man on the street in Lusaka or in Kitwe is still asking, why is the cost of living still high? But as the UPND celebrates a 24-hour economy approval, the opposition appears to be a house divided. Tonight we sit across from a man who claims to be the alternative, but with high profile big fish jumping ship from the Socialist Party as well as People's Party Alliance that recently fired one of its 5 vice presidents. And we must ask, is Dr. Fred Membe leading a revolution, or is he presiding over a dissolving front? These are some of the questions that we need to unpack right on the Hardball this evening. And allow me to welcome Dr. Fred Membe right in the studio. Good evening, Dr. Fred Membe, and welcome to Hardball.
Good evening.
Indeed. I believe we are going just to go straight into the program. But understanding that today is the 5th of April, Mr. President, it breaks me knowing that we have not buried our 60th of the late 60th Republican President, Dr. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, and today marks 10 months since we lost him. As a leader, how does this make you feel?
It makes me feel very sad, not only as a leader but as a human being. Every human being has to have some humanity in them, some humaneness in them, and especially those who lead others, those who make decisions on behalf of others, have to be human beings. 10 months without burying someone. And we know the reason why. It's not because the Lungu family does not want to bury their dead. It's simply because Mr. Hichilema does not want Edgar to be buried in the way his family wants to bury him. And he wants to have the final say. He is the one who initiated court processes in South Africa to stop the burial. If it wasn't for Hakainde Hichilema, Edgar would be buried today. Hakainde doesn't want Edgar to be buried the way his family wants to bury him. He wants Edgar to be buried in the way he wants him to be buried. And he has stopped everybody from having their way. It has to be his way. He has gone to court in South Africa to get it his way. For 10 months, Edgar is in a fridge because Hichilema does not want him buried in the way his family wants him. We have to have some compassion.
How is this a death?
10 months of mourning. 10 months of mourning is a very long period. I come from the Bemba royal system, where Tulakange Mfumu for 1 year. It started with the first Chitimukulu, who died in Petauke and had to be transported to Chinsari over a year. It's not a tradition we came with from Kola, no. It's not a Mukulumpe tradition, no. It started with the first Chitimukulu who died in Petauke and had to be taken back to Chinsari and buried at Muarule. Edgar Mfumu Yakulubemba, Yobakanga for 1 year. And even not all our chiefs are subject to that process. to keep someone for 10 months in the fridge, to keep his family mourning, I'm sorry to say it shows serious lack of compassion, serious lack of humaneness, serious lack of love for others.
How best do you want this issue to be dealt with, Mr. President?
Leave it to his family to bury him the way they want. We have seen that happen in many places. We saw it happen with Mugabe. Mugabe did not want Emerson Mnangagwa to be anywhere near the funeral. And they wanted to bury him in his village. And they were allowed to do so without Emerson Mnangagwa being there. And this was his friend who they had come a long way with. This was his disciple who he had come a long way with, but he managed to stay away and allowed the family to bury Mugabe. They wanted to bury him. And all that they needed was given to them to achieve their wish. What is the problem here? If people who were friends, who were comrades for a long time, who struggled together, who shared trenches, were able to accept that reality, what about a person who was not a friend, who did not know Edgar at all? There's no association, there's no history between them of common struggles or of friendship. So why not let them do it the way they want?
Mr. President, looking at it, we are less than 130 days to the 2026 polls. Do you see us burying the former Republican president before the election?
Yes, it can be done. If Mr. Hichilema is willing, it can be done even this coming week. If Mr. Hichilema is willing. If Hakainde is willing to get Edgar buried before the end of next week, he can do so by simply withdrawing from the court processes in South Africa. That's all what it takes. If Hakainde tells the Attorney General to go and withdraw and allow the family to bury, Edgar can be buried before the end of this coming week. What is holding Edgar's burial? There is nobody else. It's Hakainde.
Why should the blame be on President Hakainde Hichilema? I know for sure this is a bigger question coming from members of the public to say the opposition have taken a toll on President Hakainde Hichilema and blaming him that he has a hand in the delayment of burying the body of Dr. Edgar Chagwa. Why is it so?
Let's be as fair as possible. Let's try to be as kind as possible with Hichilema and ask ourselves, if it was just left to the wrong family on their own, would Edgar be in the fridge for 10 months? What is stopping Edgar's family from burying? Who is? If it's not Hakainde, who is? You can say it's the Attorney General. The Attorney General does not act independently. The Attorney General acts on behalf of the President. He has no independent decision. The Attorney General does not take an independent decision. He has a client. His client number one is Hichilema himself. That's the one he represents. If Hichilema tells him, don't proceed with the court processes, he will stop immediately, no questions. The Attorney General is not different from you having a lawyer. So the Attorney General is Hakaine's lawyer, is Hakaine's attorney. So if it's not Hakainde who is stopping, who else is? Is it you? Is it me? Who else controls government? It's the Zambian government that is stopping using the Attorney General. The Attorney General is directed by Hichilema.
Okay.
So if it's not Hichilema who is directing the Attorney General, who else can do that? Can you direct the Attorney General on what to do yourself? Can I do so? I can't.
What is your appeal to the ruling government as well as
My
President
appeal
Hakainde
is to
Hichilema?
Hakainde himself be a human being. Wesho mutima kwata kwa mutima wa buntu. This is not behaving like a human being. And it's unfortunate I'm saying this on the day of the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ. A day of joy. A day of hope. We all need hope. Because the hope makes us stronger. Hope makes us bigger than we are. We need hope in our lives. This is a day of joy. It shouldn't be crowded by the sorrow of Edgar's funeral.
Indeed.
By the sorrow of Edgar's burial.
President,
give it joy, even a little joy, to that widow, to those children who have lost their father, to those brothers and sisters of Edgar who have lost their brother, to the relatives of Edgar, to the friends of Edgar. Give them a bit of joy on Easter Sunday. Give them a bit of hope, the hope that comes from the resurrection of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has taught us that where there is a crucifixion, there's also a resurrection. Let them have their resurrection also. And show a bit of respect for the dead. We are required, we the living, to respect the dead. We are required to respect the dead, and one way of respecting the dead is giving them a burial that is prompt. Our friends, the Muslims, do it within 24 hours to give a closure. Not to forget the dead, but to respect them and honor them.
President, we need to get as much as possible from this interview. I know for sure we do have just an hour to unpack what we've prepared. And let's quickly look at, the topic of discussion rather, which is Dr. Fred Membe headed for State House? That's the topic of discussion. But another thing is that ECZ has certified the register as of April, or rather just this year. Nominations are weeks away. The question here is that ECZ has officially certified the voters register, Mr. President, and you've previously called the process flawed. Now, if you lose on August 13th, will you accept the results, or your current rhetoric, or as a preemptive strike to justify a rejection of the people's will? Will you accept the results come 13th August?
I think it's unfair for you to say my current rhetoric. I think it's unfair.
We're going to retract that,
yes,
Mr. President.
You need to retract that.
I'm going to retract that. But let's say maybe the statements that you've issued in the media, and based on what people are saying, is that these are more of baseless type of, statements. That's why maybe I had to use that.
Look at the process. The election is not conducted in one day.
Okay.
It's a process. The preparation for the next for the 13th August election started immediately we finished the 2021 elections. You have 5 years to prepare for the next elections. Look at what has happened in that 5 years. Look at what has happened in that 5 years to the freedom of assembly, to the freedom of association, to the freedom of expression, vis-a-vis the opposition and the critical voices in this country, including the media. What has happened? What has been the last 5 years? Let me speak for the Socialist Party.
Okay.
Over the last 5 years of Hakainde's government, we have applied 34 times to hold a rally.
How many have been accepted?
0. 0. In almost 5 years. 0. On one occasion, we were given a permit in the evening of a Friday, about 20 hours Friday. The rally was supposed to be held the following day, Saturday. They thought because we were in Lusaka, we will not manage. It was an offer of hope that we are not able to take it. We traveled the whole night, organized, we were setting up the stage in Kwacha, Kitwe. The police came, surrounded the whole area. Usually we are told there are not enough policemen. That day there were so many policemen. They took up the whole field, Changanamai. And then we were told they have reversed their decision. No reason. So 34 times applying for a permit.
Have you been able to mobilize your party structures then?
Let me come to that again. It's not only rallies. A party needs to meet at the branch level. It needs to meet at the polling station level. It needs to meet at the ward level. It needs to meet at the constituency level. It needs to meet at the district. It also needs to meet at the province. It has been very difficult to hold these meetings because if there's such a meeting, immediately the police are informed, they come. We have had our people spending nights in cells, our leaders spending nights in cells for simply trying to hold internal party meetings. That's not enough. You also need to meet people in the wards. You need to meet people in the constituencies.
Has it been possible for you?
It has been impossible. And not only for us, but also for many other people in the opposition. And it goes even beyond just the political players. Civil society organizations have also found it difficult, including religious institutions that have been stopped from having meetings or congregations to worship. This is well known. It has been documented and reported by yourselves. You, our friends in the media, you have brought this to our attention. You have reported on it. This is an environment under which we are going to hold the elections on the 13th of August. Can you produce, just on that, what I've said here, can you produce elections that are free and fair on the basis of that? We are going into these elections not that we believe that they are free and fair and they can be free and fair. No. From what has already happened, they are not free and fair. There are many other issues the other citizens can bring. The abuses of the judicial processes. The abuses of the criminal justice system. The administration of the criminal justice system. There are abuses, gross abuses.
Mr. President, I understand that, before the UPND government came into power, they promised that they're going to uphold the rule of law. From what you've explained so far,
they did not just promise us, Zambians. They promised the international community. They promised the EU observers who came. If you remember, the last elections were monitored by the EU. At the end of the elections, the EU, when Hakainde was in government, they came and pointed out 22 observations. Some of the 6 of them were classified as very important. One of them was the repeal of the Public Order Act, or the amendment of the Public Order Act. Hakainde promised them he was going to do that, just that. Today, as I speak to you, none of the 22 recommendations made by the EU, which Hakainde promised to deal with, has been dealt with.
You failed to mobilize or to meet your party structures 34 times, as you've mentioned. What step have you taken since, yes, you've been denied the access to organize your rallies and whatnot? What steps have you been able to organize a socialist party?
The only recourse that we have, the only alternative that we have, is what I'm doing with you here. Okay.
So you've been prioritizing.
If you were not giving us this chance to speak to our people, nobody would hear you. If you did not invite me tonight to come and be on your program, nobody will hear what I'm thinking. Nobody would even know that we exist. And also, interaction with the media today is not a cheap thing. It's not the media some of us are used to. We have a media space today where news is sold, both for the print and the electronic media. You don't just appear anyhow. It's rare that you appear anyhow. It's rare that I have an opportunity like the one you have given me, which I have not paid for. This is not a paid for program. You have invited me on your own. It's rare that this happens. Most of the appearances, you know better, that are in the media today, you have to pay. To go on a radio program today is huge amounts of money for 1 hour. To go on television is huge amounts of money. Even for the rural television radio stations, you are talking of 5,000 kwacha just to appear and more for 1 hour. We have so many people who want to speak to our people. We have leadership at the ward level, they want to speak to our people. We have leadership at the constituency level, they want to speak to our people. We have leaders at the district level, they want to speak to our people. We have leaders at the provincial level, they want to speak to our people. We have national leaders who want to speak to our people. How can they manage? How many voices are you hearing today? You are hearing the same voices. As if you know there are no thousands and thousands or hundreds of thousands of political persons. How many civil society voices are you hearing today? The agenda is not only shaped by the politician. The agenda, the national agenda, is also shaped by civil society leaders. It's also shaped by you people in the media. The politician is not the only leader of our people. There are other authentic leaders of our people. They are religious leaders, they are traditional leaders, they are civil society leaders, business leaders, trade union leaders, and the intellectuals themselves.
Mr. President, I'm going to be honest with you. I understand, I believe, obviously, you've gotten wind of this as well. There are people that say that whenever you appear on interviews, you like to pinpoint such issues and obviously come out, for lack of a better term, as a crybaby. What is your feedback to that? What is your take on that? Because I believe you are pouring out what you feel. These are serious issues that you're being affected as an individual and as well as a party. But these are issues that people obviously overlook them and say, he's always crying over these things.
I'm the only one, be truthful, I'm the only one who's talking about these issues. I'm the only one you hear talking about these issues.
You're not.
In your heart of hearts, I'm the only complainant about these issues. These are issues the EU observers raised. These are issues that our religious leaders have raised. These are issues, you know, many civil society leaders have raised. These are issues many of our intellectuals who make comments on political issues or governance processes have raised. I'm not the only one.
Okay.
You are not hearing these things for the first time. Maybe the only thing that you are hearing from me is the 34 times we have applied.
Oh, yeah.
And there's evidence to this. These are the same issues Mr. Akainde used to cry about. I don't know how old you were when he was in the opposition for 15 years. He was crying about these same issues for 15 years. Again, if I'm lying, you go to the archives, you will find those clips, you will find those writings.
Should we say it's a trend from obviously the politicians that come in power, that are given the mandate, that obviously when they're given the mandates, they get to overlook and pay a blind eye to your cries in opposition? Because I believe even you, if you are given the mandates, are you going to do it differently?
Are these petty issues that we should ignore? Are these petty issues that we should ignore? We shouldn't come to the media to talk about them. You are raising questions about these issues because you also believe they are important issues.
Indeed.
And because you are raising them, also we have to respond to them because they are important issues for national discourse. If they were not important issues, these issues, you would not raise them in the first place yourselves. There's no media house that I know of that does not discuss these issues. The very fact that almost every media house discusses these issues, it means they are important issues. The so-called cooperating partners of this country raise these issues. The religious leadership of this country raise these issues. Our best thinkers, our best intellectuals raise these issues. The Law Association of Zambia raises these issues. NGOCC raises these issues. The church mother bodies raise these issues.
And these are things that you're going to iron out when
Are
you
they crybabies? Are they crybabies? Can you have free and fair elections without addressing these issues? Can you truly have free and fair elections without addressing these issues?
Obviously not. Mr. President, let's move on and look at the 24-hour economy and UPND's records. I understand that inflation, as of last month in March, it was somewhere at 7.1%. But the 24-hour reality check here is that Cabinet recently approved a 24-hour economy. This is one thing that you've called it as a gimmick. But if a business in Lusaka wants to stay open and create extra jobs, why would a socialist oppose that? Isn't your opposition just obviously maybe trying to make a name from that pronouncement that was made as a potentially working under UPND as a policy? Are you not just undermining the 24-hour pronouncement?
Firstly, where did I say it's a gimmick? I don't usually use such a word. Where did I say it's a gimmick?
Put it on record. What rightful term did you describe the 24-hour economy?
Ask me for my view on it.
Okay. What is your view?
Because you don't have a record where I said that, as a matter of fact. Let's be factual.
What is your stance on the 24-hour economy?
That I'll respond.
Okay.
Because I don't have what you're saying. I never said what you're saying.
Okay.
It's not a new thing. Many Zambians have been working on a 24-hour economy for a long time.
So there's nothing new to this?
There isn't anything new. People cannot make ends meet now. The women who are selling, they're out selling now in the middle of the night just to get that one extra sale. You go to Lumumba Road there, you find women 3 a.m., you find them there. You go on our roads, minibuses don't stop moving. They hardly stop moving. They want to make or to pick up those few extra passengers. Many places are open 24 hours. The filling stations are operating 24 hours. The hospitals are operating 24 hours. We have many places that have been operating for 24 hours for a long time. The mines are operating 24 hours.
So is this pronouncement coming as timely?
It's desperate.
It's a desperate measure.
It's a desperate measure. Yes, we welcome everything that is being done to facilitate the operations of people who want to work 24 hours. Every help that is given to them is welcome. Those who can work for 24 hours without sleeping, let them do so, because the situation is hard. It comes back also to the issue of inflation you are raising.
Yeah.
7.1 inflation.
Yes.
What does it mean? What does it mean? The 7.1% is the rate at which inflation prices are increasing. Prices are increasing at the rate of 7.1% per month. This not that it doesn't mean prices are reducing. No. The inflation rate is the rate at which prices are increasing.
This is the lowest in 8 years, Mr. President. I think my other question is, why should voters then change a winning horse and obviously give you a vote if at least now the inflation seems to, you know...
There is much more to inflation.
Okay.
There is much more to inflation. What determines inflation? You say inflation is too much money chasing too few goods.
In the economy.
In the economy. You can reduce inflation by reducing the money supply. You have not done anything to the economy, you reduce the too much money. You have not increased any production because it's too much money chasing too few goods.
I want you to hit on this.
Yes.
How are you going to do it as Socialist Party if you're giving the mandate?
There are many mechanisms that the government can use,
okay,
or the central bank can use to reduce inflation. There are many instruments that the Bank of Zambia can use to reduce the money supply. You can increase the interest rates. You can increase the bank, holding rate, how much money the banks should take to the Bank of Zambia. You can make the Bank of Zambia issue so many treasury bonds, mop the money, so that when you go to the bank, there's no money. So that the supply of money is so limited. In that way, you are reducing the amount of money chasing the too few goods. You have not increased production. But reducing money supply does not improve the living conditions of people. What improves the living conditions of people is increasing production. When you increase production, you increase the amount of goods that are available to people. And in that way, when production increases, living conditions improve. It's through the increasing of production that we increase jobs.
And this is what Socialist Party is going to do.
Yes. What is the most important thing for our people? The most important thing for our people is jobs.
Okay.
Not everybody is an entrepreneur or can be an entrepreneur. For the great majority of our people to earn a living, to earn a benefit from the economy, they have to find a job in it. If they can't find a job in the economy, they will not get a benefit from it. The numbers of young people who are leaving school, who are leaving college, who are leaving university today, who can't find a job is increasing. It's not reducing. We have thousands and thousands of young doctors today who are not being employed. We have over 3,000 doctors unemployed. In a country with such a low physician density, by physician density, I mean the number of doctors per population, per 1,000, precisely. We have so many few doctors. Our doctors are looking after so many people. But we also have so many of our health facilities that do not have a doctor at all. If you go out to the rural provinces, you will find that many of the rural health centers, many of the clinics have no doctors. Where there are doctors, those doctors are very few and overstretched. We have even doctors today working for Mahala, working without pay, in the hope that if they work for a long time as volunteers, they will be employed. It's very hard for those. What do they eat? How do they go to work? Where do they stay? How do they pay for their existence? And at the end of the day, they don't get the jobs. Those who are favored get the jobs. The Socialist Party can speak confidently on this because it has trained over 30 doctors. We have over 30 doctors. And those doctors are unemployed today. Some of them are doing odd jobs not fit for a medical doctor. One of them is even working in a pharmacy selling medicines. A salesperson now. A qualified medical doctor.
So these are doctors trained by your party?
Yes, trained by the party. And no political party in the history of this country has done that. Not even UNIP did that in opposition. We are the first and probably the only political party that has trained that number of doctors.
30.
Over 30.
Over 30.
We have also trained a huge number of nurses and other health workers. They are all unemployed. We are running a public health facility just to take, BP of people, measure the levels of sugar, and so on, just to deal with the basics, to help people discover some of these things early and manage them. That's what some of these people we have trained are doing. The party is not a business. We don't collect taxes. We don't collect money from anybody. It's difficult to run these facilities and to keep these people going.
Mr. President, let's look at one of the promises that was made by the UPND, just to do with the milling mill process. I understand that the UPND they've failed to make a bag of milling mill or come to 50 kwacha as promised, but process seem to be a bit more stabilized. Give us a number, and you as President Membe, what will a 25 kilogram bag of breakfast meal cost, and how exactly do you get it there without bankrupting the farmer? What mechanisms should we
let me tell you one thing. We don't approach life that way.
Okay.
That's an approach of liars. Aba bufi bala yefingi. Nga mwatu votela mukalashita obunga pali 50 kwacha. Mukalashita 50 fertilizer pali 250 kwacha. Fuel mukalashita petrol mukalashita pali 12 kwacha fongwe. Inchito shika moneka ishingi misepera tukabengisha inchito mbwe. We don't operate like that.
But do you think this is an African type of politics? We're coming from a regime which told us there's more money in our pockets, and then now there's obviously fuel prices will drop, milling meal, a bag of milling meal will drop, and all these other things. Do you think?
What is African about lying? Are you telling me Africans are liars by nature?
Isn't it all about getting into power?
Are African liars? Are you a liar by nature because you are an African? And you should get away with lying because you are an African. I'm a liar because I'm an African. Are our religious leaders liars because they're Africans?
So
and they should get away with
methodical, it. Yes.
Are our traditional leaders liars? And they should get away with it. Are our judges liars? And they should get away with it because they're Africans? Is an African a liar by nature? Genetically or by DNA? We are not liars. There's no society or race which has got all the virtues and another all the vices.
What makes Socialist Party different from what we've been subjected to in time immemorial as Zambians?
We are not going to promise people what we cannot do. We have to be principled. We don't believe being principled means unelectable. Or being electable and unprincipled. People should vote for us on the basis of what we believe in. And the future of this country, as much as is past, or like is past, will be determined by the decisions you make, or the decisions we make on leadership, on accountability of that leadership, on the purpose of that, the national purpose of that leadership. There are no two ways about it. Garbage in, garbage out. The choice of leadership, the construction of leadership, is not like a contest for a song contest. It's not like a sports contest where after you win, that's the end of it. There's responsibility in leadership. That's why in our traditional system, pakupyanika mfumo. Kuti mwasanga pali avepo 20 average takwalify ukupyana. Tusalapo fyeunga umo. Tusalapo empanda. Iya kwatisha mano. Iya kwata omutima w'abantu, iya ishiba abantu, iya temwa abantu, iya ishiba ekyalo, inga sunga abantu n'ekyalo. Eyo tupyanika pa bufumu, eyo tupyanika pali omwene mushi. Eyo tupyanika pa butungulushi. Ubutungulushi tebwakushitisha. And if we take a very casual approach to the construction of leadership, forget about progress. The world is becoming more and more complicated. Today, things are decided by many factors in this world. You need a leadership that is committed, that is enlightened, that understands this role, that is up to its responsibilities.
Talking of,
it's not just that who can be cheered the most.
Yeah.
It's not a soccer match. Even in a soccer match, the one who is cheered the most is not necessarily made the captain of the team. They take the most serious person who can coordinate the team to be the captain. It's not where, you know, when he enters the pitch, everybody shouts, whiz, whiz. No.
Mr. President, you've mentioned of leadership style. And I understand that there's this notion. I know you obviously want to defend yourself when I bring in these perceptions that people are having. But I believe you as a president, this is not new to you, but you are seemingly being described as an intellectual giant but a difficult colleague in terms of, you know, how you lead and whatnot. Now, to lead Zambia, I understand that you must listen. Who is one person in your party allowed to tell you, Mr. President, no? Is there anyone in the party just to tell you no?
You have mentioned a party. A party is not a private limited liability company where those who own the shares in it, where those who are the directors in it have all the say. A party belongs to its members. A party has got a constitution. When you register a party, you take your constitution to the Register of Societies and file it. And you run the party according to that constitution. You have seen many people go to court with each other in a party because the constitution of that party has not been followed.
Indeed.
So the Socialist Party is run according to its constitution. I don't own the Socialist Party. It's not my party. And for your own information, it took 1 year, 6 months for the leadership of the Socialist Party to convince me to lead the party. 1 year, 6 months. I was one of the founders of the party, but we didn't find the party to lead it. We founded the party to be members of it and for the party to fulfill its mission, its objectives, with or without us. The life of a human being is so short. So short. I remember in October 2023, we were coming from Zimbabwe for the inauguration of President Mnangagwa. And I met my good friend, the late President Edgar Chagwalugu, on the plane. We had not seen each other or spoken to each other since 2014. We first met on that plane. And he wanted to talk about politics with me. I told him, Mwana, let's not talk about politics. Let's talk about ourselves first. I don't want, when I die, for you to fail to come to my funeral because you don't know how my relatives will treat you. And I also don't want to fail to come to your funeral because I don't know how your relatives will treat me. Let's deal with each other first. No, Mwana, no, you're not dying anytime soon. I said nobody has got control over when they will die. And my friend was saying we are not dying anytime soon. He's in a fridge. He has been in a mortuary for 10 months. He's gone. His creator has called him. God has said, my son Edgar, come. I want you to be with me. Did Edgar have control over the time he will go?
Absolutely not.
Do I have control over the time I will go? Today you are talking to me. Tomorrow morning you can hear that the chap you are interviewing had a stroke and is gone.
God forbid.
Yes,
Mr. President.
no, it can happen and we should be ready for that.
Indeed. Mr. President, let's I know what
we should be ready for
Indeed,
that.
I understand. But
so you cannot run a party on your own.
So you have a team.
So again,
yeah.
You people in the media, investigate the truth. If you are hearing Party A is being run in this way, do your homework, find out what is the truth.
This is why we've provided
and
this platform.
It's not, just, just about what I say.
Just for you to clarify.
I'm just one source of that information that you are getting.
Give a Socialist Party a human face. We understand that. Obviously, when they look at you, they'll be thinking, Dr. Fred Membe, obviously he's an intellectual type of leader and whatnot. But now that you've put it on record, I believe that's where to go.
Let me answer. Yes. Let me extend my answer.
Okay.
I ran a newspaper for 27 years.
The Post newspaper?
Yes, a newspaper that I founded. A newspaper in which I was a major shareholder. That newspaper was a limited liability company with a board of directors and a defined shareholder group. But there's no corporate entity in the history of this country that has run the way the Post was run. The Post was run like it was an NGO. It was run like it was a cooperative. Employees had a meeting every month. At the end of every month, there was a staff meeting where everybody congregated. We had the structure that you'd find in a civil society organization at the Post. The level of participation of the members or the employees and the others was higher than I've ever seen. I've had the privilege of dealing with so many companies in this country. I can say maybe more than 50 companies I've dealt with in this country as an audit senior at KPMG. I've seen how companies are run. I'm an accountant. I know how companies are run. I'm a lawyer. I know how companies are run. I'm an economist. I know how companies are run. The Post was almost like a hybrid of an NGO and a limited liability company. But
Mr. President, I believe if we start talking about the Post, there's a lot that we can unpack.
Yes, but what I'm saying...
I had posted something on social media asking what people would want us to find out from you. And one of the issues was to do with the Post newspaper. Yes, we speak highly of the Post newspaper. Now that you've mentioned it, let me just squeeze in one of the questions that one asked to say, yes, you led the Post newspaper for 27 years. But this is an entity or a company that was failing to pay taxes to ZRA. Why should they trust you? That's one of the comments I wish I could just discuss with the director.
Again, I insist, you friends in the media, please do your homework.
That's what I've said. It's a long process.
No. The question you have asked, the question you have asked is a question you should have done your homework on. Because it's documented in the public domain. There's a ruling from the tribunal, the tax tribunal, concerning the issue you are raising. There's a ruling from the Supreme Court concerning the issues you are raising. Have you read that judgment from the Supreme Court?
Mr. President, we have limited time.
I'm asking you because
we have limited time.
I'm saying you as a journalist, please do your homework.
Indeed.
In that way, you'll be asking questions that are relevant and that are intelligent and that help the people.
No, you brought it up and that clicked because it's one of the issues
that's
that
what I'm telling
one of the
company existed for 27 years.
Indeed. And this is
for 27
something that
years.
Zambians are asking.
Even those who are in government today, they were saying the Post is not closed on the basis of taxes. And you know even what happened to the judge who participated in the closure of the post. Where is he today? Judge Sandenkonde.
Mr. President.
He was removed.
Indeed.
For mishandling the issue of the closure of the post.
Let's quickly look at, before we bring in a few calls, I understand people also want to engage with you. You have 4 vice presidents at structure now. Now in a country struggling with wage bill, Mr. President, how does a government with 4 vice presidents make sense? And is this an alliance of convenience according to you, or just, what some people call a job creation scheme for your comrades?
Wachimba, the 4th vice presidency in the People's Pact are not 4 vice presidents of a government. We have a running system in this country, a running mate system in this country. There's a constitution in this country that determines to a certain extent the structure of government. We do not have a provision in our constitution for 4 vice presidents.
Okay.
We have only a provision for 1 vice president who is a running mate.
How have you been explaining these issues to the many Zambians? Because these are questions, Mr.
The
President,
4 vice presidents
that people should understand.
It's a political formation. It's a movement. It's an alliance of some form. And you have brought these other leaders. They are leaders of their political parties. You have brought them to form a unity that fights the elections together. And these vice presidents form part of the presidency running the movement.
Okay.
They are not necessarily presidents for the country.
Indeed.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you'll see a running mate emerge out of
the 4.
Not necessarily out of the 4. It's still much open.
Okay. Mr. President, also let's quickly look back to 2021 elections. Obviously your performance was a bit distant rather. Are you actually a household name this year, 2026, or just a social media name according to what people are labeling now? How do you try to wage a balance in
I don't know what is a household name or just a social media name. I need help. What did you mean by a household name?
A household name where every other person thinks this is a strong opposition leader that we have in the country, and obviously we have hope that he's equal to unseat President Hakainde Hichilema come August.
It's not for me to determine.
Okay.
We are getting into an election.
But you've done your groundwork this time around, 2026. You're good to go compared to 2021. How are you weighing, according to you, how are you looking at the litmus test if you've done that?
Look, there's no opposition political party that can say it has done its work in terms of mobilization.
Okay.
There's no political party in the opposition that had the opportunity to mobilize. Look even at the state of PF. Just look at the state of PF. What political work of mobilization did the PF do in the last 5 years? No, nothing. Who really did serious political work in the last 4 years? What I can only say is, of all the opposition political parties, probably we participated in more by-elections than any, other than the UPND itself. We were there. We are aware of what was happening. We saw it with our own eyes. We were the recipients of the violence that they say has ended. You go to our workshops, you see how many automobiles have been smashed by the UPND in these by-elections. You will see the scars on so many people who have been injured by the UPND in these by-elections.
These are your party members? Yes,
they are party members. Even just supporters who are not necessarily our party members. People who vote in an election are not only party members. If it was party members, no party would win an election.
Mr. President, let's accommodate a few calls, 3 calls. I understand people want to engage with you as time is up with us. Good evening, you are through to Hardball.
Yes, Senator Bwandi, President.
Senator Bwandi,
Bueno. Awe, vamene mukamba tivimvera. Chamene ningakambe nchakuti mapoint amene mlezing are very very important. Nyakuti sometimes ma journalists nga mukamba vazoona apo tiona na weve vachitabwani mungu wamichosako but fact nivakuti chazoona chimangala chivuta kuchimvera mwe especially tikaganizira nangu pali Easter amene wanatiuza ti Jesus Christ in the 3 days but vakamba book ya Matthews inakamba ti mwamene Jonah enzeli mshani mala yesavi for 3 days and ndio mwamene azakankalira.
Okay.
But mwene chinadabwisa nchakuti makamba tanafa pa Friday. So manje Friday mkaipenda sikwanisa 3 days. So ndia chamene chiganizia chakuti muntu saganizi vinangu saganiza ama tutacheli member. And for a politics ya mu Africa banaipanga chabe ati kuna maboza mukachita vaso na so ndeva mene muzachita bwani muzankhalapo but imu bamene mukamba chazoona sibafuna omimvera chifukwa chakuti bantu bamafuna omvera zamene bafuna omvera.
Thank you so much. We appreciate. Unfortunately, we have to let you go. Good evening. You're through to Hardball. Your name and where you are from?
Good evening, my brother, and good evening, Mr. President.
Yes, your name?
Good evening, sir.
You are talking to the golden voice of Lusaka.
Yes.
Yeah. I think as for me, I would just maybe try to say the opposition, they have got nothing to campaign about as for now. Because why I'm saying so, all of them, like for instance, Fred Membe is saying that, you know, he hasn't been allowed to campaign, or maybe those applications and so on for 27 times, I don't know, maybe I've forgotten. Why is it that Kalaba is campaigning? Why are you failing to campaign yourself?
Okay.
So it's more like you're just giving us accusations because of failing to campaign. What are you going to campaign about? You know, there is no violence this time, as you are putting it, that you know people have been beaten by elections and so on. You cannot compare UPNG and the PF.
All right.
You have to thank the PF.
Thank you so much. We have to let you go and accommodate our last caller for tonight. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, your your name and your quick submission.
Good evening, Mr. President.
Good evening, madam.
Okay.
Is it madam?
Yes, Madam Judy.
Chitika pali balungu tafyawamba balungu penyi manti no shika lero bafanzi Yesu nabuka kula bokwelela na fyonse fyapwa shuwa Zambia ifine chitika bamembe musante fidebe fikulu fya popushepo balungu tabalashikwa uli mwana kashibapumina ku kisaso okukalumbira fikulu kusebana zeho Zambia bamembe alana tusebana mu Zambia ukuseba nuko kubati kwena mulela ndafishinka bakula mwatu wa position mulela ndefya mfikashi mulela ndefya chinka tamuchita campaign katoshinga bamitina ngamuli threats tamuchita campaign gozi.
Okay.
Kala bakatushi papina bala batikala bala chita campaign yena nista batita campaign bamembe bala bakonka nipanyini ba police batulilo ba PF ba police batulilo PF kuisalanganya Ministry ya Zambia.
Thank you so much, Madam Judy.
Opposition.
All right.
Chintu chinga chimo pasto apapata abantu ebo afwirisheni panshi.
Thank you.
Kusana bamembe tu apapata.
Thank you so much. We appreciate. All right, Doc, those are some of the calls. You can see the phone is buzzing and people want to engage with you, but due to time, your response to the callers, Mr. President. We have the voice, the golden voice of Lusaka, who says, you obviously your Citizen First is campaigning and the others. Why are you claiming that you're not given a go-ahead to campaign?
Let me start with the last caller.
Okay,
Madam Judy.
Yes.
Opposition unity mayo is important. Nga mwasanswa mumushi mwaingire nkalamu takwa bati uyu twali sontana obuloshi tetimbombe nankwe nga tamuyikatane n'okuchimfya enkalamu ebya yala mipwisha bonse your differences will not be considered by the lion. The country is in a crisis. What the country needs now is unity. Not only unity of the opposition, but unity of all our people. Unity with the political leadership, unity with the traditional leadership, unity with the religious leadership, unity with the business leadership, unity with the intellectual leadership, the trade union leaders, and unity with you people in the media. The media does not exist in a vacuum. You also have a duty to set the agenda for public discourse. You also have a duty to guide society in the right direction. You have a duty. And you can't run away from that duty. You are not neutral.
Mr. President, due to time, maybe just respond also to Golden Voice. Why is Citizen Face campaigning and you are not campaigning?
Let me answer the way he has asked. I was listening to him. The UPND has paid a lot of people to literally troll the media. Wherever an opposition person is, they have to phone. Even when what they are saying, it doesn't make sense, they have to speak. And sometimes they do so with less respect for truth and with less respect for dignity. It's a job. They would do better by paying people who can engage meaningfully with us. Not people who have just to say something because they have been given talk time and they are being paid an allowance to say something. So the issues being raised are not issues I should answer.
Mr. President, we have to go. But I'll give you, under 60 seconds, your last message to the Zambian people, your appeal to the Zambian people, under 60 seconds, Mr. President.
It gets dark sometimes, but the morning comes. Let's not give up. Let's not lose hope. A better society can come, but we have to work for it.
Indeed.
Leadership of a society is important. Good leadership at the family level is important. Good leadership at the community level, at the village level is important. And good leadership at the national level is important. Let's not play around with the issue of leadership. Let's pay a lot of attention to who we put as our leader.
Okay.
Both at the national and the local level. Whether as a councillor, as an MP, a council chairperson or mayor or president, pay a lot of attention. It's not where the wind is blowing.
Mr. President, I have to thank you for stepping into the hardball tonight, and of course to you, our viewers. The 2026 roadmap is no longer a document, it is a reality. Whether you believe in the socialist revolution or the New Dawn stabilization, the power remains in your thumb this August. I've been your host. My name is Alfred Chimba, as well as my guest tonight has been Dr. Fred Membe, President, the Socialist Party and the People's Party leader. We are back on Sunday. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Good night.